minimizing charisma, maximizing intelligence, shooting someone in the crotch with a cannonball, thrust, propulsion. It's science-y.
Why you always gotta be blowing my spot up like that? There are my runes. There they are. I'm not mad. Science needs art and art needs science. They both need each other to function properly.
There are ways to figure out what the paper is really saying.
And then I'm ready to get on Twitter and yell at people about doing their own research on...
Oh, hold on there, sports fan.
Kyle Hill, everybody! He's the next generation of science communicator. I'm gonna be too old at a certain point to do those terrible things to my body, and it'll be up to you.
He's got like a lion's mane. This guy's amazing. Kyle Hill.
I'm Boo Rambo.
The universe is indifferent to you. Whether or not you have amazing hair, the universe doesn't care.
How are trees pushing past this pressure limit? Ah! Behold, my ball.
Hello? Who is this? What's the password? Okay, fine. What do you want? Yeah. No. Once I convince them that deep sea mining is, of course, something that we don't want to do, then it will be all mine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we take these little nodules that are covered. Well, they form. So it would take a little bit of while. It'd take a while to explain. I ain't got that much time. I do have that much time. Why do you say that, old friend? What? Oh. Right. I suppose it is true that that's my job right now. Okay, I'll see you in there. Yeah. And turn the air conditioning off. My electric bill is like $500 this month. Love you, bye.
Chat!
Welcome. I have unlocked bouncy mode for the chair, which is a lazy boy, by the way, because today is going to be a little bit longer of a stream, Bo. I'm looking to vibe with you for a little while. We're going to vibe together. We're going to learn together. We might even be together. Today, a little bit longer of a stream. We want to bring office hours back. We want to bring it back in full force. We want to make it worth everyone's time. So let's make it at least twice as long today. So if you're here to learn, if you're here to ask me any questions, if you're here to just hang out with all the other nerds in the chatty chat, you can see right there. Please do so. And if you want to do that all gosh darn day long, of course, you can join the facility at patreon.com/Kyle Hill, where you can get access to our private Discord, which is a members-only chat. Hundreds of you in there. Videos early. You get to vote on what we do and how much more beard I'm going to be. And that's why you see all these people with the cool things next to their names. Of course, if you really, really, really want me to see something over the next 2 hours or so, you can try Super Chat, as Liz up top does, as always, with the 10. The yellow up there. Hey, so, am I looking too casual right now? Is this too casual? Like, I could sit up, but also, thank you, Liz, for the 10. Tiny human question of the week. Is it possible to make a portal or wormhole go somewhere else? Like, use it to get back, or would it be one way? What's your favorite soda? I like Sprite. Good question, Alex. So in theory, a wormhole would let you go back and forth between two different regions of space-time, Alex. But right now, young man, we haven't observed any wormholes anywhere in the universe. They're purely theoretical right now, Alex. A lot of smart people like you have done a lot of mathematics and be like, hey, maybe there's this little thing. But no one has seen one. No one has proven that wormholes exist. And if they do exist, it might be impossible to make them large enough to go through or keep them open. This is another case of science fiction running wild with cool ideas. Is teleportation time travel? Yes, it could be. Depends on where you're going. So wormholes have a way to time travel because you can get somewhere faster than light would otherwise let you. So if you put one end of the wormhole somewhere, and then you put another end of the wormhole somewhere else, say 10 light years away, but you get there in less than 10 years by traversing the wormhole, then you have advanced further in time than other people. And yet you still experience time at the same rate because you're going through the wormhole at a regular velocity. Kyle, have you read The Martian? Yes. It's a very nerdy, very fun book for nerds. It's not a particularly well-written book, I must admit, but in terms of its nerdiness, I mean, it's one of the nerdiest out there for sure. I think the stream is kind of quiet. Is it? This is the same volume I'm always at. Why are we doing deep sea mining? Because it's in the news. Thumping. Wumpus, as you see on my giant screen behind me, is not casual today, gifting 50 memberships to the channel. Thumping Wumpus, of course, one of our newest, if not the newest, professor emeritus at the facility, a very generous, kind, and may I say damn handsome man who I met in San Francisco. Thank you, Thumping. As I always say, you don't have to do that, but I always appreciate when you do. Let me tell you a little bit about Thumping, all right? Thumping Wumpus showed up to see me in San Francisco, and his thump is so wump, he was forced by Alan Pan and his friends to stand out in the burning sun for hours to get into the building. And this man is so chatterly, and nope, don't say that word. What was he gonna say? Such a giga, maybe even a sigma, that he thumped the sun right out of the sky. He didn't even get a tan. It's incredible. I don't know how he did it. Thank you, Thumping, for the 50, which is encouraging me to get on to our first topic. Thank you, Thump Thump. Here's a fist bump bump. Oh, man. Oh, man. So, chat, we will be vibing today. We'll be learning today. It's all about you and me and science. Now, if you haven't heard that the bird, first of all, bird is the word. And second of all, they found dark oxygen at the abyssal sea floor. Now, chat, what I want to do, if it pleases the court, if you allow me, what I want to do is go through this actual study first, and then we try to put it in context. So we're going to act like our own science journalists here, and we're going to act like smart people. What I want us to be able to do is read things at their source, read the source material, and then once we understand it fundamentally, then we will put context to it. And as we do that, we will all become, dare I say it, smarter people. There's also new emojis in the chat. I had no idea what dark oxygen is, so is it regular oxygen? Is regular oxygen considered loud oxygen? Chat, I've been practicing my Australian accent so much in the last couple of weeks, I'd say for hours, I've started to dream in an Australian accent as well. I actually, I think I'm at a point where I don't even need to practice much more. Anyway. So what is dark oxygen? Chat, it's the title of the video. What is dark oxygen? Right here. So dark oxygen, let's just get right to it so you can stop spamming it. Dark oxygen is oxygen produced in the absence of light. Okay? That's not a South African accent. That was an Australian accent. I'm going to time you out. Dark oxygen is oxygen produced in the absence of light. Now, why do we give it that adjective dark? Because before this study, and this study may be quite important actually to our understanding of evolution of life on this planet, before this discovery and this confirmation that this was happening, we thought that oxygen could only be produced through photosynthesis, through light. Light is just photons, energetic photons of various wavelengths and frequencies. Animals some of the animal kingdom evolved early on to take advantage of this energy in these photons to break down stuff they were incorporating into their bodies and produce energy from it. That's photosynthesis. And as a byproduct of photosynthesis, oxygen was produced. Oxygen was one of life's first poisons that cyanobacteria and other organisms were producing in the early oceans, we think. But all this depended on photosynthesis, synthesis with photons. Now, dark oxygen is the production of oxygen, O2, diatomic oxygen, dissolved oxygen in the ocean water, without light. And we didn't know of anything that did that naturally, as a natural process. We can do this. It's called electrolysis. But how could something be doing this on its own in nature without light in a way we've never described before? Well, maybe it will be electrolysis. How do they produce industrial oxygen? Electrolysis! So Chet, like I said, I want to go through this with you just so we can both feel like scientists here, and we're actually understanding things that are read to us. Today, I mean, the understanding of getting a better grip on your media information landscape, I think, is incredibly important these days. So that's what we're actually going to do. So we're going to read this like scientists. We're going to go through it. We're going to understand it. Like I said, today's a little bit longer stream, so strap in and strap on. Evidence of dark oxygen production at the abyssal seafloor. So we said what dark oxygen is. Production of oxygen in the absence of light, or light, if you're from the North Hemisphere. Why is he so far away? Because I'm casual. Orthodoxy. Nice beanie, by the way. At the abyssal seafloor. Now, what makes that different from just the seafloor? Well, the seafloor will be anywhere that the bottom of the sea is. But those are different distances depending on the different depths of where you are. Right? So abyssal seafloor means that they're at a depth at which light does not reach. Right? How many transitions before the actual stream? Well, you can count how many transitions during your 5-minute timeout. Is Kyle Hill a dwarf? Do you think I'm standing up right now? A lot of you new chatters in the chat today are kind of abyssal seafloor of IQ right now. You know what I mean? Anyway, abyssal seafloor means specifically light does not reach there. There are different photonic. I forget what the actual name of it is, but it's cool. There's different light zones in the ocean as you go further and further down. Every 10 meters or so, you increase 1 atmosphere, but every meter you go down in the ocean, less and less light penetrates, and eventually get to the abyssal seafloor, and you're in the bottom where no light reaches. Now, that's important. Do you have an opinion on Thunderfoot? I knew of them back in the skeptic days when I was part of like the skeptic community, but I don't follow with them. I don't follow that stuff anymore. Now, chat, let's read this. I want you to understand what this sentence means. We're going to do it. Kyle, what was the primordial soup made out of? I don't know. Probably atoms and molecules that came together over time randomly with random injections of energy from geologic processes and lightning and all those other things to create the first amino acids that randomly combined into the first replicating molecule, and then that became DNA. I don't know. Deep seafloor organisms consume oxygen, which can be measured in situ benthic chamber experiments. What does that mean? That means on the deep seafloor, there are animals that consume oxygen just like you and me, unless you're anaerobic, like Ben Shapiro. And you can measure this consumption of oxygen with in situ, that means on site. So at the bottom of the ocean, you go there, benthic, seafloor. So go to the bottom of the seafloor, put a chamber there. You land a chamber on the bottom of the seafloor, you start doing experiments there. Here we report such experiments, where we go to the seafloor, put a chamber down. At the polymetallic nodule-covered abyssal seafloor in the Pacific Ocean in which oxygen... Okay, wait. So, the polymetallic nodule-covered abyssal seafloor in the Pacific Ocean. What is that? That's this. So at the bottom of that, at the seafloor here in this specific part of the specific ocean, or Pacific Ocean if you want to get less specific, sit these nodules. What are these? This is interesting. To me, how I'm thinking about them, because I never heard about them before this study, but how I've been thinking about them is that they're kind of like stalactites and stalagmites on the bottom of the ocean. You know? So, stalactites and stalagmites, don't ask me which ones point up and down. Those are mineral edifices, structures made out of minerals that precipitate out of water, meaning that their concentration in the water gets so high that they pop out of the water. They're no longer the water conditions, its temperature, its salinity, all that stuff doesn't allow for any more calcium or whatever, or limestone or whatever, to dissolve into the water, so it comes out of the water. And over time, this precipitate builds up on these mineral phalluses. Thank you, Voss. And over time, it builds up. And that's from minerals coming out of the water. The same thing apparently happens here. So these polymetallic, or many different kinds of metal nodules, they're about the size of your fist, or the size of a potato. Minerals, like metals and rare earth metals, I'm not exactly sure why those specifically. Maybe it's just because of their concentration at the seafloor. But they tend to nucleate. Yeah, they're polymetallic, which means they have really messy relationships. They tend to find nucleation sites. Now, what is a nucleation site, Kyle? Well, have you ever been rained on? You probably have. Most rain and most snow and most ice in the atmosphere needs a little bit of a thing to conglomerate around first, to get the first little bit of the snowball rolling, so to speak. And so most rain, we think, and snow and ice in the atmosphere is formed by nucleating around a little scrap of dust, or a little particle, or a little bacteria or virus or something like that. And then it gets larger and larger over time. The seed, yes, Dagon, thank you, needs a little seed. Now, apparently the same thing is happening here at the bottom of the ocean. Where minerals, rare earth minerals and metals are precipitating out of the seafloor here for whatever reason, in the concentration that they're at. You see a little sea star there, little guy, right there. And then they're forming around shark teeth, bits of organisms, other things like that. They're using little bits and bobs at the bottom of the ocean, and then over literally millions of years, and probably just from the motion of the ocean, they are formed into these circular cylindrical nodules. So if the ocean, I'm guessing if the ocean wasn't moving at all, it would look kind of flat. But because there's the motion of the ocean, which of course we all know is all that matters, ladies, you get these, and I'm speculating here, I don't know this for sure, but I would guess that they're like circular stalactites and stalagmites, constantly forming over millions of years and rolling with the ocean as, you know, currents happen down there and water moves around, etc., etc. Pressure and temperature causing the minerals to fall out? Maybe. Yeah, high pressure at the bottom of the ocean, low temperature, maybe that causes the precipitate of these specific metals. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I could look it up more. Several processes are hypothesized to be involved in the formation of these, including the precipitation of metals from seawater, the derivation of metals from hot springs, precipitation of metal hydroxides through activity of microorganisms, so they'd be biogenic. These processes, precipitation, sorption, surface complexation, surface precipitation, incorporation by formation of solid solutions, may operate concurrently, or they may follow one another during the formation of a nodule. And they kind of look like little pieces of crap, but they're interesting. Right. Kyle, I dreamt that you roasted me and I woke up sad. Well, don't say that, loser. I'm just kidding. This isn't a dream. Wake up. You've been asleep for 30 years. Anyway. So we don't actually know how these form because they form so slow. I'm kidding. Neurodream. I'm kidding. Boom, roasted. But these form so slowly that I'm guessing it's hard to actually do a good experiment to determine how they form because you're talking about millions of years. Anyway, why is any of this interesting, chat? We report experiments from the abyssal seafloor in which oxygen increased over 2 days to more than 3 times the background concentration, which from ex situ incubations, okay, so that means they took these nodules out of sight and then put them in a little similarly conditioned environment like the seafloor. We attribute this increase of oxygen to the nodules because they did ex situ incubations. Given the high voltage potentials on nodule surfaces, we hypothesize that seawater electrolysis may contribute to this dark oxygen production. So oxygen is coming out of the nodules? So usually, we'll get to that. So usually, most measurements of oxygen at the sea floor look at oxygen consumption. And they thought for years, apparently these scientists thought for years, that they were getting something wrong, that their experimental setup must have been wrong, that their measurement system was wrong because they couldn't imagine why oxygen was being produced here. Usually that's all anyone cares about. Sediment community O2 consumption. Okay? But when they did multiple experiments, both in situ and ex situ, they found the concentration of oxygen here over time, here, in many different experiments, all these different lines, to increase over time, over a couple of days, right? 48 hours here. These are from an undiscovered sea monster turd that formed like a pearl from an oyster, says Carl's Creek with the 5. Well, I mean, if you want to say that. So instead of measuring what everyone usually measures for this topic, this study was concerned with the DOP, the DOP. What a DOP. And the DOP is... Oh, dark oxygen production. Several lines of inquiry were pursued to explain the DOP. Could it be subsurface advection of oxic bottom water from seamount flanks into sea sediments? That would be my first thought. I mean, come on. And then into chambers was but no. That was discounted based on in situ O2 microprofiling that showed that pore water was a net sink for O2 and undersaturated compared with the O2 seen in the chambers. Come on. Furthermore, the DOP was measured in ex situ experiments outside of the abyssal seafloor that prevented O2 intrusion from below. So what they're doing, Cody, welcome. Welcome, buddy. Nice to see you. Again, it was great to see you in San Francisco and hold your Demon Core replica. It was very cool. I just did some 3D printing with a filament that is 75% tungsten, and we've been using it as radiation shielding. I thought you would like that. Welcome, Cody. A lot of you in the chat like a Cody. Thanks for being here, buddy. Daitangu gifting 5 Memby Bembis. It's too generous. You do not have to do that, but I appreciate it. Okay. You can print tungsten? Yeah, so so I've been printing tungsten. And what I'm about to show you is 75% tungsten by mass? 25% filament. It's a tiny little Thor's hammer. And it's heavy. It's heavy because it's made out of tungsten. Why is your face red so often? He's blushing. Oh my god. You know what? I'm not going to even show you this hammer anymore. I'm just gonna do something else here. Anyway, that's a Thor's hammer made out of radiation shielding, so, you know, whatever. Who cares? White balance on the camera? Guys, shut up. Anyway. You want to see the white balance? The white balance gets weird. Anyway, shut up. It is unlikely that biological mechanisms were responsible for the bulk of this DOP, as out-of-sight core incubations, so core samples from the bottom of the ocean, revealed DOP, dark oxygen production, in the presence of poison. So what they did is they took chambers with seafloor sediment and these nodules, I'm assuming, and they poisoned it. So they kill all the possible organisms inside of that. And they still got a net production over time in oxygen. So what actually happened, and science is always has part of a human story too. I told you that the principal investigators here didn't realize for a long time that they might actually be recording a net production in oxygen. And it wasn't until the study author heard about deep sea mining and polymetallic nodule extraction. And what a lot of these companies seeking to do this... Terrence owns you, little bro, says Jesse. No, that's not true. Terrence is, yeah. A lot of the companies seeking to do this will call these nodules like a battery at the bottom, like a battery in a rock. Like a battery in a rock. And once the study author thought about this, it's like, well, what if it wasn't just metaphorically a battery in a rock? The oxygen evolution reaction requires an input voltage of just 1.2 volts and an overpotential, I don't even know what that means, of 0.73 volts to split seawater into hydrogen and oxygen gas. Okay. So as Nebuloon is pointing out, the nodules have layers. And so you have these rocks at the bottom of the ocean that are filled with metal. What if they weren't just batteries? They weren't just metaphorically batteries in a rock. So they took some of these nodules from the bottom of the seafloor and they measured the electrical potential across them. And lo and behold, you get a charge. You get a voltage, rather. Now, the voltage that they found, I think the maximum voltage... Yeah, the maximum voltage wasn't very high. It got up to 0.95 volts, I believe. Yeah. Whereas questions remain concerning the potential mechanisms, the longevity, how long the oxygen gets produced by these nodules at the bottom of the ocean, stabilities, conditions. The geobattery hypothesis was supported by the link between DOP and average nodule surface area. Okay, so they found that the larger the surface area, the more oxygen was being produced, which could follow from electrical potentials. And assuming this is an interesting little wrinkle. Assuming the geobattery is partially responsible for the DOP observed, the high initial rate may have been related to the wave of the lander removing sediments from the surface of the nodules and exposing electrochemically active sites on the nodules. So think about that. These might be producing so little electricity, but enough to hydrolyze water. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. That when their lander came down to do some of these experiments, it kicked up sediment and pushed sediment off of the nodules in its area, allowing for more area of the nodules to be electrochemically active and produce oxygen. How can oxygen be dark? Well, dark oxygen production, or the DOP here, refers to oxygen, and we'll get to that in a second, produced in the absence of light. John the Robot, hey, you inspired me to get my degree in computer science, doing my first year here at Caltech and loving it. Let's get some W's in the chat for June, currently pursuing their computer science degree. I'm so proud of you, June. And I'm humble. Caltech's a great school. I wish you all the best of luck, of course. Yeah, my nodules are exposed right now. Yeah, that's true. Are we able to recreate this in the lab? So, when I was talking about ex situ experiments, it means that these scientists took some of these nodules, and you can see some, outside of the lab and did the experiments and still saw the oxygen production. And as some of you said in the chat, it might be due to the layering of these metals over time to create a difference in electrons and their concentrations, which creates electrical potential and creates the voltage across the tops of these things. But then you would have little bubbles of oxygen being produced on top of these things. Now, now that's what dark oxygen means. oxygen production at the seafloor from maybe geobatteries. Why does any of this matter, Kyle? Dante King, thank you for the 10 gifty memberships. It's far too generous. You do not have to do that, but I appreciate when you do. Thank you, Dante. Why is any of this important? Well, first of all, in a smaller scale, this is important because there's a lot of these bad boys. Wait, did these nodules create oxygen out of the water as well? No, that's exactly what they're doing. So Darth Star, maybe I wasn't clear. So oxygen isn't coming out of all of these rocks. There is a electrical potential of voltage on the surface of these rocks, and that separates seawater into its constituents, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay? Hydrogen and oxygen gas. You just split water, that's what you get. You can do this. Chat, if you want to do a little... I'm not going to get up and do it because I don't want to. But you can get up and do this with your family right now. Go find a 9-volt battery and a water glass like this. Now, into that glass, put a good amount of salt, put a tablespoon of salt, and then fill it up with water and mix it around. Once the salt is dissolved in the water, drop the 9-volt battery in it. It's battery in Australian. Yeah, I know, I do. I have a perfect Australian accent. Doesn't that create chlorine? No. 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 You're not separating sodium and chlorine and salt at that voltage. No way. Anyway, I'm not telling people to poison themselves. Is dark oxygen an instrument? No, Patrick. Neither is horseradish. Now, shush. It would release chlorine faster. Guys, what are you talking about? Anyway, if you drop the 9-volt battery into your seawater stand-in, or just salt water, you will see at the 2 little bits where you usually connect your battery, little bubbles bubbling off each bit. That is oxygen and hydrogen gas. That is basically what's happening at the surface of these nodules. So there's not oxygen in the nodules. Obviously, they're too small to produce anything. Well, I mean, there's frickin' billions of them, but what they're doing is acting like a 9-volt battery in the ocean. And because there are so many of them, you might get a significant amount of oxygen production. Now, why is this important? Because companies want to start digging this stuff up. That's 12. So this is from a mining, early deep sea mining expedition. That's 12 feet of nod. Just realized this was live. No, nothing. This is all pre-recorded. Even me responding to you. So that's a lot of nodules. Now, why would companies want nodules? Because they have so many precious metals. Nickel, lithium, copper, nickel, manganese, cobalt. Key to building lithium batteries. They have metals and rare earth metals. Chad, I don't know if you know this, but copper is pretty valuable. Copper is pretty valuable. That's why you see people trying to steal copper. When I was in engineering school, they show you a lot. They're trying to warn you about how scary electricity is, and they show you a lot of after photos of people trying to steal copper wiring out of buildings. Don't do that. Don't. You do not want to look like the photos that I saw. Anyway, but because the world needs more batteries, and not just for evil reasons, but also for the batteries that we need for our green transition, our transition to more renewable energy. We need battery storage for wind and solar. We need electric vehicle batteries. I need a battery in my phone so I can scroll through the same 2 apps over and over again until I drink myself to bed. I said today was casual. So companies are looking to mine the sea floor like this. But scientists are worried, as they often are, that mining the seafloor for these nods, polymetallic nodules, again, because they all live together in a complicated, messy relationship, disturbing these nodules in mass could very, very much disturb the environment. And there's a lot of animals that live on the seafloor. There's a lot we don't understand about the seafloor. And this is the equivalent of, you know, destroying it, scientifically destroying it, right? You're like destroying the scene of the crime. You don't know what things look like, what things are there, what happened. I mean, if some of these things take millions of years to form, imagine what this is just a simple sediment plume from a mining vehicle. Imagine that, but everywhere for decades. You know, like we don't know what's going to happen. Your mom is the seafloor, says Ronald Martin. Nice. I can see why you'd be salty about that. So this might destroy this environment before we understand it very much. And right now, I think there's only a few companies that are licensed to try to start doing this, but that's probably the only place you heard about these nodules before. But now we have an even better reason to rethink mining the deep ocean like this, and it's because of this discovery. When I'm talking about dark oxygen production, I keep saying it's because it's oxygen created without light. Now, we thought all oxygen was first produced in the early oceans by cyanobacteria and other single-celled organisms as a byproduct, something that is a poison, basically, or was a poison. And they produces it as a byproduct. But as time went on, years and years and years and millions of years, oxygen built up in the atmosphere enough that it was an evolutionary pressure that an organism that evolved to incorporate oxygen into its metabolism would succeed in this new environment. Cody's Lab in the chat. If I use oxygen from the air and I chemically react it in a way that I could use another reaction to recover a portion of the oxygen later, would that be dark oxygen produced without sunlight? I think, I know what you're getting at, Cody, but I think the dark in this respect specifically alludes to how oxygen is produced in nature as we know it. I mean, I could do we could put some batteries and some seawater in, you know, a closet, and that's dark oxygen, you know. But I think specifically in this case, it's implying that it's different from how oxygen was produced as we know it. So the evolution of oxygen, yes, Tara. And so the evolution of oxygen is directly related to the evolution of multicellular organisms on this planet, and therefore all of your butts. And we thought it all came from the cyanobacteria taking in sunlight, using it in its metabolism to create oxygen as a byproduct. And then plants started doing it, etc. And then you know what happened after that. Sharks, plants, politics. That was basically the history of the planet. The great oxygenation event. Yes, exactly. So, if it could be shown, and this paper is just the first of, it's saying that nodules can produce oxygen in this way. It's not saying the implications of that. it's not saying the implications of that, but if further study could show that this was producing or could produce an amount of oxygen that could be similar to, say, the Great Oxygenation Event or something that we could link to that. I don't know how we would find this, maybe in old, ice cores or what. I don't know how you would do it to find ancient concentrations. I don't know if they go back that far. I would guess that they don't. But if you could show that deep ocean oxygen production was significant, then the evolution of multicellular life on this planet either gets a footnote in all your biology textbooks, or that sentence gets rewritten. Of course, those are the two most bombastic things that could happen. I'm not saying that will happen, but studies like these show that it could happen. And when discoveries can rewrite the textbooks, that's very exciting. Now, I should say, when I say rewrite textbooks, a lot of the facts don't matter crowd will think, well, see, I don't know why I was doing that accent. It's offensive. Well, see, science doesn't know anything. Science changes all the time. Well, technically, oxygen being critical for the evolution of multicellular life isn't false. It's just we didn't know all of the possible places where that oxygen came from. That's it. Doesn't mean science is completely wrong and now everything up is down, cats and dogs living together, pure hysteria. Or mass hysteria, whatever the quote is. We are adding to our knowledge. We are not flipping it. Rarely is a mountain of scientific evidence flipped on its tip. Rarely is the tip flipped. Usually we just add like another outcropping. And now the mountain just is a little bit more jagged. But it's all still built on foundational stuff that we know. Or at least good sciences. Cody's lab following up. I'm just saying that I think the oxygen at the seafloor is ultimately coming from the atmosphere. It just has extra steps. Well, that depends. How was the Earth? How do we know for sure now how that Earth's oceans formed? Because if a lot of the water was from early asteroid impacts and stuff and ice, then couldn't there be oxygen? I'm saying if the water didn't come from the atmosphere specifically, and it started as an ocean from like an impact, then it's double dark. I don't know. Cody, it's above my pay grade. Well, actually, it's not. Scientists don't make very much money, but it's above my grade in school. You know what I'm talking about, chat? Dark oxygen to me is just regular oxygen. Greaser, you know what it just sounded like? You just sounded like the guy who's like, when am I ever going to need to know this in class? Lots of interesting people hanging out in here. You know it, for sure. Ferromanganese nodules similar to those found on the deep ocean floor occur on several lakes in Wisconsin, including Lake Michigan. I have been on Lake Michigan many, many times. This is wild, says Aaron Karp. Wait. You're not the Aaron Karp that I know, are you? Will this be on the exam? Yes! Damn it! Stop asking me that. Everything is on the exam, including me. I'm the cover image of the exam. Do we know how these formed yet? No. There's a lot of competing... Well, there's a lot of possible explanations, none of which have the majority of evidence yet. So it's rock air. It's not... Am I not explaining this very well? I'm not... It's fine. I'm not saying anyone's not getting it. I'm saying maybe this is just a fun... The oxygen is not coming from the rocks. The rocks are little... Imagine a battery with the battery bits on the outside. So like, you know, a 9-volt battery with the 2 little prongs? Imagine these rocks have just those 2 little prongs on their whole surface. And when you put them in water, there's enough voltage at all those little prongies to split the water into into 2 H's and an O. Oxygen. Kyle, first live stream I've caught in a while. This is decaf coffee with a $9.99. Is enough oxygen being produced at these sites to sustain human habitation? Probably not. Also, are xenobiologists taking note of this study? Yes, good point, Decaf. I did see that note. I saw that noted in a couple of news stories about this, where in, say, I think Dagan pointed this out too, but if there were worlds where you had oceans beneath deep layers of ice where the sun could not penetrate, giggity, then there's still a plausible mechanism for multicellular life to exist, and therefore have life as we know it, possibly. But aren't all rocks grounded? Still voltage moving over and across the surface of the rock, even if it's grounded, could produce that surface level electrolysis. And electrons and electric fields tend to gather at sharp points. So the little jagged rocks could have a lot of high voltage points on them. You know what I mean? If the rocks have a voltage, that means they can lose it, right? Yeah. Kyle, can you purchase a fuel nodules? I don't know. Can I? I'll take a polymetallic nodule. I got a lot of weird stuff in my office these days. Polymetallic nodule buy. Oh shit, I can buy one. We have these manganese nodules for sale from the Clarion-Clipperton fracture zone in the Pacific Ocean. We also sell a 5-pound bag. Chat, if you want to buy a nodule, you can buy these nodules. I say buy one. Oh, Cody already has a couple. Buy one and then do a voltage test across it, or put it in your bathtub or something similarly large with salt water and see dark oxygen in the light of day. Incredible. Well, they're not exactly cheap, says some Rye. Well, that's because you have to get them from the bottom of the dang ocean. Ease of access factors into the price of something. What's my worst accent? Good question. I don't know. Chompy, what's the accent that you hate the most? Across? Yeah, I say the word across. One of my engineering professors in university said, instead of across, he said across. I just... Are they organic? No. Organic... well, they might have some carbon in them, but you versus me specifically, chat, if you're ever wondering what organic actually means, organic means it contains carbon. That's it. Boston accent? Yeah, those are yeah, my Boston accent's probably pretty freaking bad. Chat, we're about halfway through, maybe. I don't know. This is gonna be a longer stream today. My head hurts from this. But we still have some things to go through. We're going to go through all of some top comments from the most recent videos. Whole screen covering the chat? What the heck are you talking about? You can see this little bit. That's fine for you. I'll give you a little bit more. There, deal with it. You said Lake Michigan. Yeah. Yeah, I used to live on Lake Michigan. Twitching Psycho, you shouldn't be disappointed about dark oxygen. I mean, if it's it could add to what we know about the evolution of multicellular life on this planet, which is cool. Kyle, my fly is down, is it? You assume I'm wearing pants. Pack the cat and have it yet. Do we know how long these modules can produce electricity, says Nicholas Smith. No, Nick. New member of the channel. Nice to see you again. The paper says specifically that they don't know how long they produce or could produce electricity at their surface to create gases. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, we're going to check out some of the top comments from the last two videos. And then we're going to do something I call a little subreddit recap. Or we'll just talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about. Oh no, your Boston accent is bad. Well, you do it, Lily. Erosion. So it could increase the likelihood of aliens under ice sheets on other planets. Yes, we said that. Like Europa and Titan. What's the largest nodule we found so far? No idea. I think the average size is like a potato. How's the Irish accent? Not so good. Not so good, chat. Wrong button. I have a subreddit that I created, not directly in response to getting kicked out of the nuclear power subreddit, but it's not in response to that. Can you do a Kiwi accent? No. I'm not one of the pissants who can do that. How about your New Zealand accent? I told you I can't do one. Kyle, I would love some science-based philosophy content. Mentioned Sam Harris a number of times. Would love Kyle's thoughts on things like free will, or even better. Chad, you don't want to know what I think about free will, do you? You want to get into that? How dangerous was this from Guy? Uh-oh. Nuclear video. Pause it. How dangerous was this dude? Let's see, shall we?
Im Keller vom Krankenhaus befindet sich.
Okay, so right off the bat, this man, whoever he is in a hospital in Chernobyl, in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. This is in the town called Pripyat. It's hard to roll the R sometimes. This is in the town called Pripyat. Had like 60,000 people in it in 1986 before Chernobyl reactor number 4 exploded. And this is the hospital in town. And I know exactly where he's about to go because I've been there. And so I've been in this building. I've stood where this person has stood. And I imagine he's about to take you down into the basement. Now, I did not go down into the basement, because in the basement is all the equipment that the firefighters left behind 1 and 2 days after Chernobyl. 1 and 2 days. It took about 2 days for Pripyat to be evacuated. So their gear is in the bottom of this hospital building, or some of it. And some of the stuff down there is quite hot. So I mean, let's see what he sees.
Noch die Original Feuerwehrkleidung, und zwar von den Feuerwehrleuten, die damals zum Einsatz rausgerufen worden sind.
This is a German guy.
Wir werden uns diese Feuerwehrkleidung jetzt mal ansehen.
Gonna look at the firefighter's
Der Grund für
clothes.
diesen Aufzug ist, dass diese Kleidung sehr stark verstrahlt ist.
The reason that we're wearing these bunny suits is that things are heavily contaminated. Now, what people, I think, misunderstand from popular culture, stuff like Fallout, is that bunny suits like this and the radiation suits you'd wear in a game like Fallout. Derek went down there? I don't know if that was a good idea. I'll tell you, it wasn't a good idea. It's definitely not Alara. Someone can just tell you what's down there. Anyway, so those suits are not for radiation shielding. Is that enough protection, says Human Girl? See, that's what I'm getting at. Pop culture has given us this sense that when you wear a suit like this, it's for shielding. But none of the suits you see people wear, even the suits you see me wear when I was inside of the dome at Chernobyl, that's not for shielding. This is, yes, exactly. This is only to, if there's any radioactive dust or particulate matter or contamination floating around or on the surface of things, it's so that you can take that off. That's it. It's to, and then, you know, to prevent it from getting in your mouth, in your underwear, in your eyeballs. So basically this is a dumb idea. I wouldn't do it willy-nilly, no.
Man muss sich vorstellen, dass wir 29 Jahre Menschen da drin gewesen sind. So, ich starte mal die zweite Kamera und dann geht's los.
Where's his eye protection? I don't know. Damn it! So I'll tell you, let me see here, because I know that I definitely, or I should have if I didn't. Boop.
System inside the dome.
Boop. Yeah, so I'm not wearing iPro here, but I'm not wearing my own clothes. I'm wearing hard hat because we're far enough away. We're not inside, and these two buildings here are, or this building here, this large thing here. That's a dust suppression system, so it's actively sucking radioactive dust out of the air if there is any. So that's probably why I'm not wearing. Nobody was told to wear iPro here. But as you can see, we're wearing booties, and this is our second layer of clothes that are not our own. So I would not go into this basement with my own clothes, if that makes sense. I'm not saying, I haven't seen what this guy does yet. I'm not just saying this is going to be stupid, but I'm also saying it's not stupid.
0,4.
Okay, so he just said that reading is 0.4 microsieverts per hour. So right now, that's about 4 times where you're sitting. Why don't I take out, hopefully it still has a charge on it right now. Why don't I take out my radio code decimeter, which you can go to radiocode.com and use the code Kyle for 5% off. They're expensive, but they're awesome. They have their own app. They sync with Google Maps. You can do your own little radioactive studies, that kind of thing. So that's 0.4 microsieverts per hour. Where do you have that stored? I have Geiger counters everywhere. See, can you hear that? So right now, where I'm sitting, and you would want to take a couple of minutes or at least a little while for this to settle. Radio code. That's radiocode.com. Offer code Kyle for 5% off. We have our own Geiger counter sponsorship. Photon Empress one of the coolest names I've seen, gifting 50 memberships. Photon and Empress, this next thing I'm about to say is for you. I'm not going to say I love you or I'm attracted to you, but I also did not say that. Thank you, Photon. Far too generous. Again, none of you have to do that unless you want to be cool like Photon. But you can see the reading here. So that is 0.0, okay, that's perfect. 0.04 microsieverts is where I'm sitting now. So you can see the microsieverts. There, it's backwards, but it's microsieverts. So already he is experiencing 10 times background. So already he's not even to the clothing yet. And this, damn it, this man is experiencing 10 times the background radiation that I'm experiencing right now. Let's continue. It's creepy, isn't it? I mean, it is what I hate videos like this. I hate videos like this. Oh, my forward pushed hair. What's going to happen to me? Grow up. Okay, so that's his dosimeter alarm going off. You can set your alarm at whatever you want on a radio code, of course. But I don't know if he set his prior. But that's his Geiger counter alarm going off there. So what is he at? 14? 14.9? So now he's not quite 100 times higher. He is what? 50 times higher? 25 microsieverts per hour. Sir Patrick Stewart in the chat gifting another 10 memberships. Thank you, sir. Obviously, you were knighted for a reason. I'm sure these jokes about your name never get old. Thank you. Far too generous. Appreciate you, Sir Patrick Stewart. Let's continue to engage with this video. I'm sure, again, I know that doesn't get old for you, so. Yep, so that's a personal dosimeter alarm going off. How long is it bad at 25, says Arosen. Now, chat, something I've been trying to do for a long time, especially when I've showed you my videos in Chernobyl, is that you have to remember that these numbers look bad and they sound bad. But remember, a millionth, a microsievert is a millionth of a sievert. What would be really bad, what would be a bad dose to get, is 100 millisieverts. Okay. 100 millisieverts? Holy shit. 100 millisieverts is 100,000 microsieverts. So how long would it take 25 to get to 100,000 per hour? Many, 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 many days, if not weeks. So these numbers are scary, but this isn't crazy yet. This is not crazy. You want crazy? I'll show you crazy. Max Torque, Mr. Torque, gifting another 50 memberships. Thank you, Max. What a cool guy with a cool name, with cool shades. And not to be outdone, Downrange Note gifting another 10 on the back of that. Chat, look at all these, look at all your new members. Look at all these emojis you can use. Thank you both. Thank everyone so far who has gifted or donated. Max Torque, Downrange, Sir Patrick Stewart, Photon Empress, Thumping Wumpus, of course, Dai Tengu. Do not have to do that. But I appreciate when you do, bringing people in to the La Facilidad. So what I'm trying to get at, chat, is this is bad. But it's not dying bad. This is why this place is abandoned bad. We're not talking about dropping dead. We're talking about getting cancer after living there for 40 years. Different scales of danger. Eileen gifting the 5. Come on, we have to keep it going.
Und hier kann man zum Beispiel einen Feuerwehranzug sehen.
Is it cancer bad, Kyle? So this is not radiation poisoning bad. No, that's like 1 sievert. 1 sievert in a short amount of time would be radiation poisoning. Now, what did we say? This is in units of microsieverts. A millionth of a sievert. So how long would it take 25 per hour to get to 1 million? Oh my God, you guys, thumping, not to be outdone, says, take that, you generous nerds. Thumping with another 50 gifted memberships. Everybody in the chat is about to be a member. Incredible. Far too generous, Thumping, and everyone else. Please, hold your radioactive horses. No one out thumps the Wampus. Okay, so, okay. Wait. That was high. 150, that is high. I have never personally seen that high of a rate. I've never seen that high of a, I've never been, no, I was around, no, okay, so I was standing, I got to stand in front of, maybe 100 yards away or so from the failed reactors in Fukushima Daiichi. And that was between 100 and 200. But he's doing this intentionally. Does he have gloves on? You'll notice, well, I don't have to go back to it, but you'll see when I was in Chernobyl, I was wearing gloves. Yeah, no, photon, yeah, I know. What? Wait, I peaked at 800? Is this you? Zelnet, is this you right now? Why are you saying I? Or did you mean it? 866? No, he's not. Okay, again, Dave Breen gifting another 5. The most generous channel on YouTube. The only science streams on YouTube. Y'all are making this a good place to be. I appreciate you. That's not you. Did you mean it or I? Because I don't know if this is you in the chat. Also, I don't care. 800 is very high. What kind of radiation is he measuring, James? So I would imagine that this is from, oh my God. I would imagine, chat, you got to stop. Damn it. I would imagine that this is from cesium. Oh, look, oh, Pripyat's so scary. Look, it's a little, oh, my hair is so forward. Oh, Christ. I'd imagine this is from cesium-137 contamination, which is putting out gamma radiation. Oh, my Lord. We have another 50 Memby-Bembys from Downrange Node. Guys, please. I'm trying to see if this guy got radiation poisoning, and then we can look at some memes. Incredible. Whoa. What? Wait, what? Whoa. Oh, you can't even see what I'm seeing. Whoa. That is 3,500 microsieverts. That is scary. So chat, I want to give you a figure here just so we know where we're going. No, he's not dead. He's not dead. Things don't glow, Patrick. He's not dead. Clearly, he uploaded this video. No, this is, so I said it's 3,000 microsieverts. Now look at the unit. The unit, that's 1 millisievert. So that's now millisievert. So it's 3.3 millisieverts now, which is 3,000 micro. Okay. So I'll give you a figure here. The common here. Actually, let's do this, chat. Let's do this together. Radiation limits annual public person. Let's see just how crazy this gets. 100 MREM. So this is for people who work around radioactive material, 5,000. Members of the public, 100 millirem. 100 millirem per year. Oh my God. Chat, you guys. Another 50 from industrial arts and crafts. It is what a day to be alive and here. Chat, thank you so much. Chat, you are far too generous. Please stop it. Thank you, industrial arts and crafts, for making and all of you for making basically everyone in the chat a member of my cult. I mean facility. Okay, so chat, basic rule of please. Basic rule of thumb here, chat. 100 MREM. So a REM is one REM is roughly equal to 1/100th of a sievert. So we divide this by 100. And so now we have 100 MREM, of course, equals 1 millisievert. Okay. Right? So 1 millisievert. So that is what the public should not encounter in a year. Now, Chad, I don't want to spoil anything here. This is the rate that this man is showing us on screen. You divide those two values, you divide the value by the rate, and you get the amount of time at which you reach the public limit of radiation you should experience in a year. I put too many of those division signs. 18 minutes. Now, chat. This man who's doing this could have easily spent 18 minutes in this basement. But keep in mind, because time, distance, and shielding is such a huge factor in radiation dose calculations, he's not getting this dose the entire time, not even close. You would have to put this firefighter's boot on your face. If you remember, the dose before that was like 0.4 millionths of a sievert, not 3,000. Okay, so he's not getting that dose the whole time, but that is a dose he's showing us on screen that could give you your yearly dose in less time than I've been talking about this. That sound doesn't get old at all, does it? Oh, okay. I thought that was Millie again. I was like, oh no. But see how the radiation rate basically falls off immediately once he's not close to it? That's just how important distance is. I know a guy who went and took photographs of the elephant's foot, and he's still alive and well. It's all about time and distance.
It's time to go.
Yeah, it is time to go, buddy. No, he's not raw dogging it. Yeah, so that's the hospital outside. Was that the maximum? It looked like I think at the bottom of the boots. look like the maximum here. 3.4 millisievert. How does this level exposure compare to the Therac? The Therac was fatally irradiating people, so it's not close. Show photos of the foot, says Samurai. Okay. The guy who took photos? What I'm talking about? Like a personal photo that a man took? A photo that you may have never actually seen before? Well, I have a, it's 4 years old now, but I have a full hour-long video interview with this man, a full hour-long interview. So I've still, for the last 4 years, I've been meaning to get around to it, but I'm going to do a full translation of the interview, and then I'm going to do a full Half-Life history about this man. That's pretty amazing, right? So again, sitting in this room, this is like that's like 30,000 times higher. Something like that. Whew. So what was the question? How dangerous was this? Watch the latest office hours. Exclamation point. Few x-rays worth? Yeah, it's like, again, we still need context, right, chat? It's not an absolute... If you were to I'll say this. If you were to encounter that rate out in the wild, you would have to call the government. But it's also not going to kill you. Now, if you stuffed this boot down your pants and left it there for a couple days, that's going to be pretty bad. I promise I won't get technical. One drink later, nuke bro to a random person. And that's why nuclear makes a lot of sense in general, but especially in densely populated countries. Okay, geez, we get it. Who inspired you to become the world's next most important scientist? Well, first of all, I'm not a working scientist. And I wouldn't say I'm the next most important anything. But I have a lot of inspirations. I mean, it's gonna be, a lot of you have the same inspirations that I did growing up. It was CD-ROMs of dinosaurs, looking at bugs in the backyard, Mythbusters, Bill Nye, Carl Sagan's Cosmos. And then I went directly, I loved every science class I ever took, and then I went directly into civil engineering for my degree in college, and then I went directly into science communication after that. And then I've been doing professional science communication for about 12 years or so. Who made this? Who made this? Chad, if you told 16, 17, 18-year-old me that I could text Adam Savage on my phone right now, I would have thought you were crazy. Sorry. Is joining stream now too late to understand the story? Oh, Miss Cupcake, we have been... Yeah, that's like an hour ago. Who made this? I don't know what this means because I haven't seen this show because it's mean-spirited and disgusting and I don't like it. That leads us right into our next commentaries. Damn you, Phil! God, you're so handsome. I hate you so much. Yeah, I do dislike the boys. I don't post everything on my own subreddit, Chompy. I'm not a sock puppet. Kyle, have you found any effective way to communicate with a flat earther? I'm about to give up on my brother. I would have him do the simple experiment that famously dissuaded some other flat earthers. I would have him do this simple experiment. Yeah, do this experiment. Oh, wait. Do this experiment. Have your brother do this experiment. So what this experiment is you cut 2 holes and you make them at exactly the same height. 2 boards, 2 holes, exactly the same height. Now, if these are close enough together, you can shine a light through one hole and you see the light in the other hole. Flat Earth would say that no matter how far, well, if you go a distance at which scientists say there's some curved, because curve is rise over run, because the Earth doesn't just, it goes down 1 foot every 100 feet or whatever it is. Oh my God, thumping. Flat earthers will say that even at 100 feet, you will still see the dot at the dot of light at the same elevation. But if Earth is truly curved, that curve will prevent those people from seeing the light in their hole. We have another 50 gifted from Thumping Wumpus. No one, and I mean no one, can out-thump the Wumpus just as this flat earther is about to get thwumped. So they
a backup experiment. If you're seeing through this hole.
I agree that that experiment should be persuasive, but he calls this guy a shill and ignores the actual experiment. Well, if your brother, ground up, can't find anything wrong with the methodology of the experiment and says, if your brother can agree that this would show whether or not there was a curvature of the Earth, but refuses to acknowledge it or refuses to try it, then they don't. Then they have an ideology. They don't. They have a belief unfounded, an unfounded belief, and then it's not about evidence for them. Right.
Through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard, or at 17 feet off the water. The Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Okay, go ahead and drive down there, Enrique. You're going to hold the light there. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, it's his...
Wait, what? Wait.
We don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting.
Why did they add the music sting there? Well, I guess he saw the light. Wow! CSI. Flat Earthy. Besides Flat Earth, what's the dumbest theory you've personally heard of? That nuclear weapons don't exist? Jeranism did that experiment, he's still a flat earther. Well, I don't know who that is, but they sound unintelligent. Science isn't real, man, says Jay Dawn. Prove it. Prove it. Prove it. This is a good as they say, segue. Let's see what you had to say on some of our latest vidges, huh? Or we could do connections. This is very bad. This is the insect apocalypse I was talking about. If you haven't checked it out, please go do so. I was talking about how most biologists agree, or what's a historical biologist? Anyway, maybe they're the same thing. That we're in the middle of the sixth mass extinction on Earth, and bugs are squarely in the flat Earth style sites. This video made you cry? Hey man, bugs are cool. I miss the bugs. Sorry, I was reading the chat. What did you have to say about me bringing or shining a light on this situation? Funny thing is we are seeing more and more nuisance bugs because all the grass we plant increases the amount of nuisance bugs while decreasing good bugs such as bees, butterflies, and lightning bugs. I lived in this house for 22 years. When we moved in, every summer we were plagued by flies and mosquitoes if we left the windows open without nets. This summer I can count the number of flies we've had on one hand, and there have been no mosquitoes. Not many small birds either. Chat, feral cats are wiping out bird populations as well. Maybe that should be my next... So, chat, the sponsor of this video, Planet Wild, was so happy with this, what we did here, that they want some more videos. And I wonder if the feral cat apocalypse is also a good video to do, because they are eliminating billions of small animals a year. But I feel like everybody knows that already. You know, I did the insect apocalypse one because I feel like a lot of people don't know that. I mean, a lot of this is just anecdotal evidence, of course. And anecdotal evidence doesn't a data make, but it does support the experimental evidence, right? Most people know about the apocalypse that is the feral cat population, right? They've led to many extinctions of small animals, birds, lizards. I mean, you don't think a lot of people know that? Really? Seriously? All right. Where's my Post Malone it note? Cats. Feral. All caps. Bob Barker beat you by 20 years? Yeah, but I beat him by still being alive. Price is wrong. Kyle was just banned from the insect subreddit after this video. So Kyle, after that kind of radiation exposure from the previous, do you think the individual in the video survived? Yeah, that's not enough to kill you. That's not enough to even make you sick. That's not even enough to appreciably increase your risk of cancer in your lifetime. So the minimum, the agreed upon minimum amount of radiation that you can get in a short amount of time and increase your lifetime risk of cancer is 100 millisieverts. His reading maxed out at 3 millisieverts per hour. So he would have had to spend over almost an entire day directly, basically in contact with some of that material, which only a very stupid or crazy or mistaken person would do. So no, that guy in the video is fine. I'm just we have to think more scientifically about risk, chat. Not everything radiation is scary. I'm getting irradiated right now. So are you. Millions of cosmic rays fly through you in your lifetime. Many neutrinos are passing through you in the billions. Sunlight is radiation. It matters the context and the scale. Radon gas? Yes. Does Kyle have a cat? Yes, I have 2 cats, but they're indoor cats. They have never gone outside. When the firefighters went in Pripyat and did their thing, how much radiation did they absorb in that moment? Must have been a buttload. Yeah, it probably was a buttload, Photon. But what you do, and what I know was done at Chernobyl with the radiation workers, the liquidators there, and what is done at Chernobyl today, is that you're rotated in and out because time matters. And you can see this very vividly in our nuclear bonfire episode about the Leah radiation incident, where if you're a radiation worker, you can work up till the amount of time at which you get a bad dose or a limit dose, and then you rotate the next person in. They don't continue to work. You rotate them in and out. So you never get a dose above your limit. So the firemen would have done this. The liquidators on the roof of the Chernobyl power plant did this as well. And you can see this in footage. They say, you have 2 minutes, go. And after 2 minutes, they couldn't work on the roof anymore. Chad, I don't know. This is my favorite quote I've ever heard about the liquidators. It's not a quote, but my favorite story. And I don't know if it's true. But it's so stark that I can't help but remember it. Did those firefighters suffer any serious health problems? As far as I know, yeah. But I haven't. No one died immediately. Well, I'll say this. All of the deaths from the Chernobyl explosion happened within the first few days. And they were the people on site who got severe radiation poisoning, or they were in the explosion radius. You know, blunt force trauma, that kind of thing. No one else died in the immediate aftermath. Hello from Montana. Hello, Solar Glare. What was I saying? Oh, this quote. Right. I heard, maybe it's an apocryphal tale, that when the liquidators were going up on the roof, Chernobyl Reactor 4, what they said, what the option they gave these young men, are you Thor's stunt double? Who could say? Who could say? What they told these young men was, you can either spend 2 years fighting in Afghanistan or 2 minutes on this roof. And the fact that that was a comparable risk tells you everything you need to know. I believe something like 30 of the firefighters were dead within the first week. That's not true. I think the immediate fatalities after Chernobyl exploded were 30 or 31 total. And that includes people working inside of the plant. How much suffering would the immediate deaths have been? Chat, why are we getting so gross about this? Why are we getting so morbid about this? Severe radiation poisoning is a terrible, terrible way to die. How accurate is the Chernobyl HBO show? Incredibly accurate. Radiation differentially affects fast-growing cells in your body. That's why your hair falls out. That's why you get extreme nausea when you're on chemotherapy and radiation therapy, specifically because you have very fast-growing cells in your hair follicles and in the lining of your stomach. But you also have very fast-growing cells inside of your bones, and that's where they make your white blood cells. And so when you are spectacularly irradiated, and I've read this, basically if you get irradiated enough, your bone marrow can turn to mush, and all of your white blood cells go away. and then you die horribly to infections and multiple organ failure. And depending on what you touched and where you were and what happened, your skin falls off and it won't heal, and it's incredibly terrible. Why do you have such glorious hair? 2 reasons. 1, my mother and her genetics. 2, I take care of it. Most men who have long hair like me, in my experience, don't take care of their hair because they're afraid of being too feminine or looking whatever these... Pick your slur of choice. But once they get over themselves and once they, ironically, man up a little bit, and once you go to a salon and use hair care products and blow dry and brush your hair is going to look a lot nicer. But most men won't do that because they're insecure. But then you're missing out on this. Drop the hair routine? No. For free? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So actually, guys that touch pieces from inside the core, says Gabrielle, they were shoveling pieces of the roof back into the roof. I don't know if it was the core specifically. But what makes Chernobyl more dangerous than Fukushima is that the core itself exploded and spat out fragments of the core for kilometers around. And you can watch the video, the deadly particle video that we did. And this hot particle, well, I'll just show you. Hey, who's that handsome devil? This is actually... Now, if you thought that firefighter's boot was scary, this is what's making that sound. This. That's it. This speck on your screen that you cannot even see is making this sound.
If you know what you're doing.
4,000, 5,000 counts per second.
Counts per second. Counts per second. No, but that's still like off scale.
Kyle Hill doing reaction type content on YouTube. This is my own video. That stuff is scary. That stuff is scary. That is a piece, that's probably a piece of uranium from the core. That's scary. I'm not going to react to my own video, chat. Who am I, Tim the Tat Man? Have you seen me eat yet to the stream? That was 50 millisieverts? I don't know. I don't know what... was I filming? Yeah, that was me filming. He said 5,000 CPM. No, CPS. That was 5,000 CPS, but I don't know offhand what CPS really translates into. I'm gonna doubt that Wolfram has that, but we'll see. We'll see. Can't wait to see the feral cats video. Yeah, I wrote it down. No, counts per second. Okay, well then let's do this. Let's see if so if Wolfram has counts per minute, which is the usual unit. Damn it! Which they don't. Come on. Damn it! I'm trying to. Radiation units are kind of hard to compare against different things. See, everyone's using different units here. Let's go to the government. Kyle, what do you think about combining psilocybin mushrooms with chemo for my whatever that means? I think it may aid neurogenesis and help fight nerve tumors. I have no idea. Annoy the donkey with the 5. But I'm very excited about the use of psychedelics for PTSD. That's all I know. Just base it off the gamma constant for cesium-137, says Miramash. I don't know that off the top of my head like you do. Can you just give me the CPM conversion so I can move on? This is not what I want. CPM scale radiation limit. A lot of times I just search for images when I do, because a lot of times, yep, see, here we go. Nope. CPM to microsieverts. Gimme. I'm trying to make a point. Trying to make a point here. Microsieverts per hour. Okay, so 500 CPM equals 4.17 microsieverts per hour. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, sir. So then we take our CPM value, which was 5,000 counts per minute, multiply that by 60. No, 5,000 counts per second, multiply that by 60 to get counts per minute, multiply that times 500. Wait, times 500 divided by... Wait. Right? Right? Am I crazy? Because 500 equals 4 of those. So how many 500s do I have? Ah, right. So how many of those 500s do I have? Beep. So that was 2.5 millisieverts per hour, which is... Yeah, I did it. No, 500 CPM time, you have to multiply it by 60, Miramaj, because this video was counts per second. It says micro. No, I know. But I'm reducing the value. So that's 2,500 microsieverts per hour, which is 2.5 millisieverts per hour, which is about the same value that guy was finding on the bottom of that boot. So he may have stepped on one of these things. How many different scales are there? There are... The little acronym that I use in my head is SG 100 RRR. So 1 sievert roughly equals 1 gray, and then if you roughly equal, and those two roughly equal 100 Rentgens, REMs, and RADs. What is the most radioactive thing you could touch? And how long could you touch it without getting radiation sickness? Like a spent fuel rod directly out of a nuclear reactor, probably. Does the chart take account for meter efficiency? No, of course not, Miramaj. It's just a little chart. It's a chart you give to scared people. So where does Curie fit in? Curie is a measurement of raw disintegrations per second. So the becquerel is a BQ is 1 disintegration from an atom per second. But as you may imagine, there can be trillions of disintegrations per second in some sample of radioactivity. So the Curie reduces that by like 1 trillion. So a becquerel is like, what is it? 1 becquerel is like 1 trillion Curies or something. Yeah. So like 100 billion, 200 billion Curies. 1/200 billionth of a Curie. So 200 billion becquerels is 1 Curie. Something like that. Did dark oxygen get sorted, Kyle? Yes. Do you have any Half-Life Histories videos in the works? Is Rydrag? Yes. The next video here at the facility, since we're talking about it, is going to be another Fallout episode, but it's going to be an interesting one about Radaway, actually. And then the next episode after that, whoever asked me, Rybot or something, Rydrag. The next episode after that Fallout episode is a new Half-Life history about World War II. Is it iodine? No. Bustera Sin says, hey Kyle, just want to say your Expedition Chernobyl series inspired the setting for a game I'm developing. That's incredible. I would love to see it. Love me some Fallout. Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be the last Fallout video we do for a while, but since it was an easy video for me to make, and we'll probably be playing Fallout London on the stream soon. Maybe. You think a sci-fi writer is going to use dark oxygen because it sounds cool? Yeah, sure, why not? Science and science fiction feed off of each other. Oh my god, I've been Australianized. Do you have any science videos you want to redo because you didn't get the science right? There's a couple of experiment-y kind of videos that I could have done much better with a lot more money. Yes, I'm familiar with the Tokimura nuclear accident. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of false photos about that incident. It's been on my list for a long time. Yes, wind scale disaster is also on there. People have asked me about that for a long, long time. Yes. I'd like to see more Science and Cats content. I'm on it. I already wrote it down on my Post Malone at notepad. What music have you been digging lately? Chappell Roan. I can deny her no longer. She's obviously fantastic performer. But in terms of music like I'm into, and not just Aria, I've been getting back into MF Doom, RIP. But MF Doom is hands down the best and greatest rapper I've ever heard in my life. So yes. Any more good comments here on this? What's your t-shirt design? Oh, fancy, you should ask. Shop.kylehill.net and you can get the t-shirt I'm wearing. Nuclear waste warning merch. We have 2 drops of those now. Oh yes, Cheryl P. Sorry, I've been missing your comment. When you talk, oh my gosh, look at this guy. Look at this Chad. Look at Chad. Look at Thump Chaddington here. It's incredible. Just hold on. Cheryl when I talk about the best bassist of all time, I don't include Thundercat because I'm not familiar enough with his work. Trim that. Thumping Wumpus with another $100 donation. MF Doom, hell yeah, you should also check out Aesop Rock. Yes, of course. Thoughts on Blurmborer, the new Magic the Gathering set. So many fun commanders. You can just go on EDH Rec and see how many popular commanders there are right now. What did I make? Did I make anything? No, but there's a lot of good cards from that set. And I love the art, and it's adorable and lovely, and I love it. Why is Arya almost there when you change screens? She's not here right now. She's modeling. No. Politics. Get out of here. Nuked. From orbit, much like a rod from God. But in this case, the rod is me. And I got disqualified from the pole vaulting competition. Any science collaboration coming up? William Osmond? Nah. I have a collaboration idea with my girl Zyla Fox Lynn, but that wouldn't be for a while. There's a implement at the Ren Fair, of which I am a patron. There's an implement at the Ren Fair, it's a carnival game, that embarrassed me in front of my women. Embarrassed me in front of the people I was with. Don't tell them I said that. And ever since, I've been wanting to build or have Zyla build that implement, and then she and I would train on it. And there is some physics involved, and then she would do the building involved. Kyle, who's behind you? What are you talking about? Don't do that. I don't like when cats do that, when they get on you and then they just look behind you. But yeah, I might do that. Didn't Veritasium do a Rods from God video? Yeah, so did I, though. Okay? So did I. Kyle, do you have a Mothman Fallout deck? Yes, of course. It's all radiation and mill, but as you know, mill is the worst strategy in Commander, and it sucks. Since nuclear waste degrades so quickly, it doesn't. Why are there still hotspots in Chernobyl? Because it doesn't, Sarah. Your underlying premise is incorrect. So, like cesium-137, which is the main contaminant of the main fallout contaminant, fission product contaminant in Chernobyl and Fukushima, that has a half-life of like 37 years. So about half of it has degraded in Chernobyl, but only half, you know? Where's your God Rod, Kyle? You know where it is. You know where it is. No, don't forfeit against Mill. Mill, it sucks. It might take out one player, but you'll win. Yeah, Nikhil Nagrundar, Lord of the Underjelly. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And I was very strong at rock climbing at the time, and I was still embarrassed by it, and so I must get my revenge. But I'm much stronger now, so we'll see. I've been doing a personal training program for the last 209 days? $208 days in a row. Missed my super chat question. Well, you should have stuck around. Is the 2 to 4 megaton thermal explosion realistic in Chernobyl? I don't know much about the figures, but it was a colossal explosion. I don't know enough of off the top of my head to say if 2 to 4 megaton thermal explosion is realistic. I don't know enough about the figures, but it was a colossal explosion. I don't know enough of off the top of my head to say if 2 to 4 megaton thermal explosion is realistic in Chernobyl. I don't know enough of off the top of my head to say if 2 to 4 was accurate. Team Swole Patrol. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. See, Chad, the thing is, I've been pretty casual today and far away from the camera, but like, the closer I get to you, I just embiggen, you know? Good evening, Kyle. How's the coolest science educated doing? Says the salad one. Oh, we've been vibing. Chat, let me... Chat. We did an experiment today where we purposefully talked about much more than we usually talk about on office hours. I want all of the new members that have been so generously gifted by Thumping, by Industrial Arts and Crafts, by Downrange Note, by Max Torque, by Photon Empress. Cool name. All the new members, if you've been enjoying this longer, more chill office hours with Science Daddy, I want you to spam your new channel-specific emoji, your favorite one, right now, much like I'm doing. Nicholas Smith with the 5. Do you think dropping the word nuclear from nuclear power plant would sway public opinion? Yeah, probably. But you also, other side of the sword, other edge of the sword, you don't want to make it seem like you're hiding something. You know what I mean? Because if there's one thing that there's too much of these days, it's conspiracy theory. Because we're in a post-fact world, because we're at epistemological bankruptcy, you don't want to make the public trust you less. I think it is harder, but I think the more fruitful pursuit would be to get people to understand nuclear rather than bury the word. What about using the word atomic? I like that. It's an atomic plant. Cities like Pripyat and other cities around the Soviet Union that were built specifically to house the people who worked at nuclear power plants, they were called Atomgrads, or atom cities. It's very cool. Chat, oh. Chat, we've had look at all those gifts. So many generous patrons today. Incredible. Thank you again so much, everybody. Did we learn something today? What did we talk about? We talked about. See, look how casual I am. I can get even more casual. Here, in just a second. I'll put my feet up. I have a gamer fridge underneath here. I have a gamer fridge full of meat sticks underneath my desk here. Let me get more casual. Just a second. Just a second. Just a second. This probably sounds terrible. Oh, just a second. Just a second. 1 second. One second. One second. Chat. Skip the ads because I'm a Chad. Woo! Chat. 1 second. 1 second. Chat, 1 second. Chat, what did we learn today? Ooh, man, maybe I should do it like this. Yeah. Is Ari in the room with us? No. She's currently modeling for video game studios. Wait, 1 second. 1 second. Chat. Oh, man. Oh, man, chat. Oh no. Chat, what did we learn today? We learned so much. We learned about dark oxygen. Oh, I can just... Let's try this for a second. Chat, welcome back to the Office Hours podcast. What did we learn about today? Okay. We learned about dark oxygen. No, it's not dark because it's of its color. It's dark because it was created in the absence of light. And you know why that's interesting? For many, many years, we assumed that all the oxygen on Earth, for the most part, was produced by unicellular organisms at the surface of the ocean. Cyanobacteria, if you're nasty. But this was all produced via photosynthesis, with light. Now, a recent study says that polymetallic nodules in the bottom of the ocean that have layers of metal that create electric potential act like little geobatteries at the bottom of the abyssal plain. And they are hydrolyzing seawater by themselves to create oxygen all by their lonesome. But don't worry, there's a lot of them. Everyone needs a friend. If they could be producing enough oxygen to alter the atmospheric composition of the early Earth, it may have changed how multicellular life began on this planet. Incredible. Then we react to some crazy guys going into a basement in Pripyat. Oh, I wouldn't have done it, but this guy, gosh, god dang gun did it, huh? Wild. Oh, sorry, I wasn't looking. Crazy. Was that kind of ASMR? Did you like that? I feel good? I can't hear myself. Does Arya act like a robot IRL? Yes, and she could bench press you. Man, is she huge. Just joined recently. Thanks for the summarization. No problem. Cat. Chat, I just want to say wait, 1 second. One second. Chat. 1 second. 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 Chat, I immensely and forever appreciate your interaction today, your questions, your comments, your liking the video, giving me suggestions that I've already written down. We just vibed out for over 2 hours, learning stuff together, exploring stuff together. It feels so good, doesn't it? Man, it feels good. I hope you learned something today. I know I learned something today. Again, thank you to all of our generous facility members who made even more facility members. They're like von Neumann machines. You're like the gray goo of science content. I appreciate everyone being here. Coming up next at the facility, we have an episode about Fallout. We have new Half-Life histories. We have episodes about 3D printing radiation shielding. We have episodes about microplastics. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Chat, I appreciate you. I'm honored and humbled to be a part of your educational journey. Chat, many of you, if you're joining me at patreon.com/Kyle Hill, I will see you right after this inside of our private Discord. But to everyone else, no matter where I see you next time, next office hours, next gaming stream, we're working on a partnership that we have to launch before we get back to gaming stream. Next gaming stream, next video, next comment section, next Reddit post, wherever it is. Remember, please, stay nerdy and be nice to each other. Because this, at the end of the day, is all we got. Hit the next trip. Bye.